Well, boys, let me be the first to officially welcome you to season 4 of Red Card Radio. I hope you guys are as excited as I am because tonight we're talking about Arsenal. This is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening from. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League from three friends who support different clubs. My name is James. I support Arsenal. With me tonight, that's Brad. He supports Chelsea. Down below, that's Sean. He supports Tottenham Hotspurs. Gentlemen, hello. How are you guys doing? Happy summer to you, because I think now it is legally summer.
Happy summer. Doing great. Hey, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but 4 is also as many European trophies as we've won.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. Were you planning that all day?
It took me so long to understand what he was getting at with the 4.
4 seasons.
Season 4.
4 seasons. Season 4. 2 Champions League, 2 Europa Leagues.
We have 2, Brad, and if you times 2 by 2, that's also 4.
Oh, look at you doing math.
Hey, Brad, what happens if you times 2 times 0?
You get as many trophies as Tottenham has.
Arsenal, you mean?
Well, we have European trophies. What are you talking about?
Where?
We have the Cup Winners. We have the Cup Winners Cup. Google it. You'll find out.
Cup Winners Cup, is that on the same plan as Audi Cup?
It's a Europe. At the time, it was a legitimate European trophy.
At the time, what was that? 1888? What do you mean?
It was like 1980 or something like that.
Was the ball still actually leather?
It was like 1980 or something like that. I mean, okay. If you really want to compare resumes, Arsenal to Tottenham, I would be happy to go shot for shot. Or if you'd like to compare resumes, Arsenal to Chelsea, I would be happy to go shot for shot with either team, because it's without fail, Arsenal are bigger than both these clubs. But this was a tangent I was not expecting to go on. I mean, I'm prepared for it if you guys want to have that beef.
We've got Arsenal to talk about today. We're going to talk enough Arsenal.
There's going to be enough Arsenal on this podcast for everybody today.
There's never enough Arsenal. But before we get too deep, if you could hit that subscribe button, ring the sub notification bell if you're on YouTube, if you're on one of the podcast sites, follow 5-star. All those things really do help us out as we continue to grow this podcast. So we'd really appreciate all those things. Yes. So as you guys alluded to, Arsenal is the focus tonight. So back in the beyond time, in the before time with Red Card Radio, we used to try and organize our thoughts based on league position. And so we would be like, if whoever's team is higher up in the league, they get to talk about their team first on the podcast. And this was like, I don't know, this was an idea Season that we 1. Had. Yeah, really early on. But what we're doing over the next couple weeks is that we're going to talk about our teams and I guess kind of think about how they did last season and then kind of think about what their plans are for the summer and what our expectations are going into the 23-24 season. And we have gotten back to that idea that we're going to go in league position, at least with the 3 of us. We might sprinkle some other teams in, grab some friends to help us look at these things, and have them join us as they're available. But yeah, so that's what we're doing this evening. Before we do that, we do have a couple comments from last week's video. They're mostly humorous. First one's from Will. He wants to clear the record that he would have scored better on the game that we played last week about picking teams and their points and things like that without the points deduction that he's talking about with Juventus. Since Juve got deducted 10 points, they finished lower in the table. And so had they finished higher in the table, he would have earned less points for Juve. So I guess that is true. That's a true. And his next comment is that he maintains that the Bournemouth is a cheap Atalanta knockoff. Because of the logos. So if you go Google Atalanta's and Bournemouth's logo and put them side by side for yourself, and you decide. And then you have to also take that to the next level and see which club was founded first and which adopted that logo, the current logo that they're on first. And Jimmy wants to give a big congrats to Joel for winning it overall. And Jimmy is fairly certain that he will still suck next year at the game when we play it. So I guess we'll see. But thank you for those comments. We really appreciate it, guys. And yeah, let's dig into Arsenal. So what we're doing here is I guess we'll kind of go top to bottom, thinking about like what yeah, Brad, what are you thinking here?
So since you're going to be doing most of the talking, I don't think you should be able to do the rundown.
Okay, so you don't.
We don't want you to be the full host here, since it's in your title. But like you can chill a little bit this week. You're going to talk plenty.
All right, fair enough.
So we're going to run it through. We're going to hear about Arsenal's last season, who the player of the year was, moment of the year, and then we'll get into the new season. And I'll get into that after. Okay. Pass it over to you here, James. Talk to me about Arsenal's season.
I mean,
that's so like at the beginning, what were your expectations?
I think so. If I think about where I had Arsenal, I pegged Arsenal to finish third last year at the beginning of the season. But if I also said I debated having them finish second, I debated between Liverpool and Arsenal, who I thought would finish second. And ultimately, I went with Liverpool because the Liverpool of the last 5 years has been a juggernaut, and the Arsenal of the last 5 years has not been a juggernaut. But I thought that Arsenal had improved drastically over the year previous. And so I thought we would finish in the top four. I thought we would finish pretty comfortably in the top four, if I'm being completely honest. I think I would have expected a little bit more out of the cup runs. I think I would have expected maybe a semifinal in the Europa League. At least I honestly, I thought we could win the Europa League, based on like our squad, our profile. But that wasn't to be. I thought we would do well. I thought we'd do better in the FA Cup than we did the year previous because we had such a terrible exit in the 21-22 season in that FA Cup. I thought we would do better. But ultimately I thought we would do better in both those, but I thought we'd be in the Champions League and maybe had won a cup.
Right. So,
and if I
now looking to the season,
yeah,
as it is now,
yeah.
How are you feeling?
I mean, obviously, I'm pleased with the overall. Holistically, I'm pleased with the season Arsenal just had. Am I disappointed that Arsenal did not win the Premier League? Absolutely. Am I disappointed in the way that Arsenal didn't win the Premier League? Absolutely. But if I think about what the objectives were for the year, if I think about how we played football, if I think about the players and things like that, I can't be disappointed. If I'm going to get disappointed over that, then I'm just going to be sour about everything until we win like a Premier League or a Champions League. And there can only be one winner. And yes, the goal is to win, hands down. If you're not winning in football, you are not succeeding. But you can also take pride in growth, I think. And I think you can be excited about growth and enjoy growth. And we had growth. And so, yeah, disappointed we didn't win the league because we should have. And maybe in 5 years' time, I'll look back on this in the same way that I do the season that Leicester won the league and be like, oh, that was one that we should have won that we let get away. And maybe I'll think the same thing in 5 years about this last season. But I think that we did not peak last year. So
right now, general optimism.
Yes.
Pleased with the year. Some disappointments.
Certainly.
No trophies yet, but still happy that there was progress.
When you say no trophies, what do you mean? Do you mean like under Arteta?
No, because you guys have an FA Cup under him.
Exactly.
I know that.
That was going to be my point. Okay. All right. Cool.
I knew that. Cool. All right. Cool. So, who is your player of the year and why?
So I waffled on this slightly. I think there's two obvious choices. I think your choices are either Bukayo Saka or Martin Odegaard. I ultimately went with Odegaard. I think that he just, I think he had a really, really impressive year. I think he showed why he's a captain. I think he controlled the team. He controlled the ball. He scored lots of goals. He assisted a lot, and he was integral in every aspect of our play. And so, yeah, but I think you could also make an honorable mention for Saka. I think Saka also had a phenomenal season. His production for his age was insane last year. And so if he continues to grow and press on and can stay healthy, I mean, the guy has got an incredible career ahead of him, in the same way that Odegaard does and Martinelli does. Martinelli also had a phenomenal season. I think Ramsdale had a very good season.
I was going to say that would have been my second to Odegaard.
Well, my only thought about
Looking
Ramsdale,
outside.
I think I think he fell off a little bit towards the, let's just say the defense fell off a little bit, because I think you could also throw William Saliba in there. Center backs don't get the same kind of love and adoration that attacking players get. But I mean, I think if you think about our defense, our season kind of fell apart when Saliba got injured, right? And so I think that's a very strong case for why he could or should be considered player of the season. So, I mean, honestly, we finished second for a long time. We were first in the league. So like that means that your players are all playing well. They're all playing at a high level. And so take your pick.
It makes it hard to choose. I'm with you. All right. So your moment of the year, what is this year going to be known for?
I mean, if I had to pick a singular moment that Arsenal fans will remember and celebrate for forever, it's Reece Nelson's goal against Bournemouth, the 94th minute winner, outside the box. So Reece Nelson actually had an insanely good game in that match. He came on in the 70th minute, or like 77th minute, whatever it is, and within a minute he had an assist. He had a cross to Ben White. Ben White scored, and you're just like, wait, Ben White scored? Like, what's going on here? And so he had an assist, and then he has the game winner in the 94th minute when all hope is lost, and like he is just able to steal a victory. And so like if I had to pick one moment, the one that we'll remember as Arsenal fans for the longest time, it's hands down Reece Nelson's goal. And I think that was also Arsenal's goal of the season. Just throw that out there, like for the club.
Awesome. All right. So now we are looking ahead to the new season.
Okay.
We're looking for some opinions here.
Okay.
If you're happy, great. Why are you happy?
I've got.
If you're not happy, what would you change and why? And we're going to do this, the manager and then each line on the team.
Got it.
So we're going to start with the manager. Are you happy with Mr. Arteta?
Sean, you want to answer that one for me?
That is the most boring Skip Bayless question of all time. Is he happy with a manager that took him from 10th to 2nd? I mean, yes, he is happy with Mikel Arteta.
And on top of that, he's also an ex-Arsenal player. So like I couldn't really be more pleased with Arteta.
I feel like we could skip manager and goalie. Are you happy with your goalie as well?
I mean, I'm pretty happy with Ramsdale. I think he's the best English goalkeeper. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with Ramsdale.
Minus Dean Henderson, sir. You're not slander Henderson here.
No.
Good point. Now things could get interesting around defense, though.
Yes. So that is actually a good place to start. So thinking about the defense, you think about it like one of two ways. Like, what's your best defensive lineup? What's your best overall lineup? And that really focuses on the left back position, right? So like Zinchenko is preferred to Tierney at the moment because Zinchenko plays inverted, whereas Tierney is more interested in defense and overlapping. Like he's a more traditional fullback, right? And so I love Kieran Tierney. I don't want Arsenal to lose Kieran Tierney. I think that I think
there's value in having both types.
Right. I do as well. I think if you only have fullbacks that want to play inverted, you are not succeeding. You're not setting yourself up for success. And on the same side, on the same idea on the right side, if you have Ben White and the idea is that we're about to sign Timber from Ajax, I think is where he's playing.
Yeah.
And so the thought process there is that if you have Ben White, who's playing more of a traditional right back role, and then you sign Timber, who could play the more inverted right back role, then you might have a situation where Tierney can play, because Arteta didn't want to play both fullbacks inverted at the same time. That was something he didn't want to do. So we would have one inverted fullback and one traditional fullback. The traditional fullback would have less license to go forward.
Right. I mean, Ben White's is essentially a third center back, which he plays right back.
Well, he developed as a right back. Growing up in the academy days, he was a right back. He kind of converted to a center back, but he can do both at a high level. So that's good versatility. But having so the idea of having one of each, right, an inverted and a traditional on both sides makes a lot of sense. But we're gonna lose Tierney. Like I have no. That's
gonna be my question. Was can you keep everybody happy in that case?
No. But like that's the nature of squads that are going to challenge for the title. You need players who are understand their role and willing to fill that role. You can't have 22 players who all think that they should start every minute of every game. Like they might have the mentality that says, if I'm playing, I'm going to be producing. But you also have to have those players need to understand that only 11 players can be on the pitch at one time. So, but if we're about to, if we look at Arsenal's expenditures this summer, it's going to be a very expensive summer if the Declan Rice deal gets done. So do you take 30 million for Kieran Tierney, which I think is way less than we should get for him? I guess.
Yeah, especially because apparently Southampton is trying to sell Livramento for 50 million.
Get it, Southampton.
An injured right back that didn't play last year.
So I don't know.
And Tierney had a couple of matches.
So I mean, obviously, I think our defense is pretty solid. If you think about our midfield, because I assume that's where you wanted to go next.
Yes, we are sliding down to the midfield.
The conventional wisdom is that Xhaka is leaving, that he's going to Leverkusen in Germany, which is upsetting to me, but whatever. He's earned the right to decide to move on at this point. Yep. There's talk that Thomas Partey might end up either at one of two destinations. Either he's apparently going to go to Saudi Arabia and make a lot of money, or he's going to go to Juventus and make Arsenal no money, which sounds terrible to me. I know which one I'm preferring in this situation. So if you lose both Xhaka and Partey, you need reinforcements. Arsenal have essentially at this point signed Kai Havertz from Chelsea in a £60 million deal. 60 million pounds with 5 million in add-ons, Brad. So if we're gonna, if I'm not allowed to say that Mudryk is a €100 million signing because he's 70 million with 30 million in more achievable add-ons, then I'm gonna claim that Kai Havertz is a 60 million pound deal.
Okay,
Brad. Anyway,
money on my books is money on my books. I love it.
Which is a little annoying to me. Because I'll say this. I don't rate Kai Havertz at the moment. Maybe he just was in a sad moment at Chelsea over the last 2 years, and he's going to be happy at Arsenal and produce. But
there's a lot in the wrong position.
I just think Havertz is it's the exact same as Richarlison. It is a player that can play across at least the center and right to cover Saka, because Saka played probably whatever 38 times 90 is last year.
He played a lot. He played a lot.
I know he's young and his legs can take it, but that's not going to last forever. You'd like to be able to spell him every once in a while.
Yeah.
And having Havertz to play on the right and not change your formation that much or your tactics that much is a very valuable 60 million to have. And that's what Richarlison provided. And that's what I said from the beginning and then Richarlison could also spell Kane, could also spell Son. And I'm sure Havertz could play and spell Martinelli if he needed to and come off the left. But it's center and right for Havertz, correct?
It's center and midfield.
Yeah,
I think might be able to play right, but not a right I thought where Odegaard's playing.
I thought he played on the right of a 4-3-3.
He was in the middle
at center.
I think his ideal position, his preferred position, is like a 10. I don't think he wants to.
8 or 10.
He doesn't want to play as a 9, which is where Chelsea had him playing. But he can fill that role.
Correct.
Yeah, it seems like they've signed Kai Havertz to be Xhaka's replacement.
Like an 8-10, yeah. Maybe.
Which gives me a little bit of pause just because I don't know how defensive minded he is. And if you have Odegaard and Havertz on the pitch at the same time, and personally, I would rather see Emile Smith-Rowe there, but whatever.
I will say he does press very well. Whether defensively he's great or not, he does press very well. He does.
Well, that's important. That's important. Work rate with Arteta is huge.
Yes, I will. I will say that about Kai Havertz. He always ran. That's probably why he ended up at the 9 most times, because pressing from the front.
I've been dogging him for 5 years. Well, not 5 years, but I've been dogging him for like 2 years at this point. So, I mean...
Hey, bro, he scored the goal that won the Champions League, so...
Maybe he'll do it again. If he does it again, I'll be very happy.
It's well worth it, right? Like, it was well worth that 72 mil we pay for him.
Yeah, so, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But, I mean, like, I think if you think about Arsenal's midfield... So the breaking news as of today when we're recording this is that Arsenal have lodged £100 million offer with 5 million add-ons to West Ham for Declan Rice. It hasn't been accepted at this point because West Ham is apparently dissatisfied with the payment structure, and West Ham is waiting to hear what Manchester City will offer. If West Ham turn down this bid, I think Arsenal should walk away and go sign Caicedo or go sign Lavia. And I think we should move on. I don't think we should let West Ham. I think what we should do is we should tell Declan Rice that West Ham is being ridiculous and see if Declan Rice can force West Ham to be less ridiculous. But it seems unlikely that that's going to happen.
I've been on the train that you're better off to go get Lavia. You're going to spend less money, and you're going to have a higher ceiling player. And now, granted, he is 19. Yeah. So you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that ceiling right away. But you're signing a player for, I don't know what Southampton are offering, but I'm sure he's 19.
Yeah.
You could probably get him for $30-40 million.
I think like 45 million would probably get it done.
Yeah. You're saving yourself $55 million honestly, that you can go get whoever you want.
If we spend 80 on Caicedo and 45 on Lavia, I think I might be more interested in that than a singular Declan Rice. But the issue is the issue is getting Caicedo at this point.
And do you need all of that?
Well, yeah, we might.
Xhaka's gone and Partey's out the door.
Staying.
Yes, okay, but Jorginho's staying and El Neni's staying, but like that's not enough.
Havertz, Odegaard, Partey if he stays.
I think if you're signing two midfielders, Rice. I think if you're signing two midfielders, then if you're only signing Rice, then Partey stays. If Partey goes, I think you need two, because Lokanga is coming back from loan from Crystal Palace, but he hasn't really shown anything in the 2 years he's been at Arsenal to prove that he can play that 8 role. So I think, I don't know.
But he's also been like, there's some intangibles here with Rice that you're not getting with Caicedo. Like Rice has been West Ham's captain for the past 4 years essentially.
Yes, that's a fair
point. They're on-field captain.
That's a fair point.
He plays center back. He plays center defensive mid. He plays a center mid. I don't think any of us have watched enough West Ham ball to say whether or not I think Declan is a better player than Caicedo. I think he's much more well-rounded. He's a better passer. From
the comps I've seen, he controls the ball like a beast.
Right.
Like the ball just but I guess my point is more that the rumor is that if West Ham get £100 million bid for Rice, that they're going to and it's from a top 4 team, a team in the Champions League.
Yes.
The gentleman's agreement between the chairman and Declan Rice was that they would accept it. And if they're going to come back and say, we're not going to accept £105 million bid, well, what are we doing here? You're just gonna you're just playing us against City at this point. City don't even want him, so let's just move on.
I wonder if it's because we got Enzo on 6 for 106 million on 6 installments. But we also had a bully, and Enzo had a bully to get that through the 6 installments with a lot up front. I wonder if it's less money up front with 5 or 6 installments of it.
I would imagine. I would imagine it's 5 equal installments. And West Ham's no, we need more money up front.
That's what I'm thinking is whether they want to do 40 or 40 up front, and then let the other 60 go between the 3 or 4 payments.
I would imagine. I would imagine that West Ham want greater than 50% up front, but I don't, if they're not, if
And
Arsenal can't do it, then
there
don't
is
move
a
on.
second bidder. So,
But is it a serious second bidder? Like, are City bidding just because they see that it could happen? Like, does
yes.
does Declan Rice even really want to go to City in the long run? I don't know.
I don't know.
We're speculating at this point. By the time people are listening to this, it could just be done deal.
Yes.
Yeah, Calvin Phillips has to be calling Declan Rice and being like, "Don't come to City."
No. So here's the thing, right?
Log jam, dude. It's a log jam in the back. I can't even get field time. Do not come here.
Calvin Phillips was injured for a lot of the season, but here's the flip side to City is, hey, this is how they got Haaland. Hey, you don't have to play every game here. Like, you can have breaks. You don't need to play 40 games, 38 games in the season. You'll probably play 25 because we have 2 starting 11s.
But is that what Declan Rice wants?
As many games as these kids play, because like with England, you got Euros coming up, then you got the World Cup. He might be involved in the Olympics. I don't know, because you get a couple of senior players.
Not a chance.
I mean, he's 24. Like, he's at that age range, maybe.
Haaland played 35 matches, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna say Haaland played a lot for City last year. He played like almost every game.
He played 35 league games, 11 UEFA games.
Yeah, he played every Champions League game. Played
whatever.
Right, but he also didn't play in the World Cup.
True.
EFL Cup.
It's a fair point.
He had a whole month off.
EFL is the Carabao Cup.
Oh, so he only played 2 of those.
Yeah, that's not surprising. He probably
Semifinal and the final.
I don't know.
But so like that's the pitch that they do. But I think your midfield will have clarity in the summer, but clearly you want to add to it.
Yeah, we have to. I mean, we have to.
All right. I have some questions with your attack. Because like Havertz can play that 9. You have Gabriel Jesus. You have your boy Nketiah, who just signed a long-term contract.
Yeah.
And then you had your boy, our American boy,
Balogun.
Florian Balogun, who just was a top 5 goal scorer, like for his age group in all of Europe, like was competing with Mbappe in terms of goal score in Ligue 1. What's up with that?
Okay, so what's going to happen and what I want to happen. So what's going to happen is that Balogun's going to get sold. He's just going to get sold for 35 million to someone, which is way less. So could you imagine if Balogun belonged to Rennes, like who he was on loan to last year, and he scored the number of goals that he scored, and then he was being sold somewhere?
Yep.
How much would he cost?
60.
Exactly. Like, so the fact that Arsenal are going to sell him for 35 million pounds or 40 million pounds is ludicrous to me. But what's going to happen is Balogun's going to get sold because he wants regular first team minutes. Arsenal can't guarantee him the starting number 9 role because that's Gabby Jesus.
Yep.
All right. So that's what's going to happen. What I want to see happen is I would personally sell Eddie Nketiah for 30 million pounds.
Well,
and
does Nketiah want first team minutes too, though?
Yes.
And I think he feels threatened by Havertz.
He might. You can't sell both of them. I'm just throwing that out there. And the thing is I don't
disagree with you.
Is that Nketiah is tied down. Balogun's not. Balogun's out of contract after this year, so he is the asset that's more available.
And that makes the 40 mil make more sense.
Exactly. But what I would like to see is a buyback clause or a right of first refusal in the Balogun deal, whereby Arsenal have a chance to re-sign him in 2 or 3 years. That would be what I would want.
Get a Tammy clause in there.
Yeah, so that's what's going to happen. I think on the left, you've got Martinelli, you've got Trossard, you've got Emile Smith-Rowe who can play those positions. On the right, you've got Saka, you've got Reece Nelson, who may or may not re-sign, who I'd like to see re-sign.
But he did. The rumor is he has, but it hasn't been announced yet.
The rumor is that it's like 95% done, but it could be undone.
Unless Arsenal does a United.
Yeah, that was dirty. We'll talk about that. I think ultimately, like, what are my expectations going into this season coming up? I think it's very similar to what we saw Arsenal produce this year, is that we should be challenging City for the title. And if we're not, I'm going to be disappointed. I would like to get to the knockout stages of the Champions League. I'm not deluded enough to be like, oh, we're going to win the Champions League. But like, get to the round of 16, I would be super jazzed about. If we get to the round of 8, I think that's phenomenal. I think that's being realistic. I think that's awesome. Anything beyond that to me is ridiculous. I'll be very happy. I would like to win a cup. I would like to win something next year, whether that's the Premier. I mean, obviously I want to win the Premier League, but if we're being honest, like City are still City. They're still juggernauts. Everyone else is going to be better. Everyone's re-upping. So it's not going to be a walk in the park, but I would, if we can win the Premier League, go all in, win the Premier League. But win FA Cup, win Carabao Cup, but play good football, be entertaining, which is Arsenal are going to be entertaining. They're going to be fun to watch. So I don't know, like challenging City for the title. I think we need to be legitimate title contenders again this year. And I'd like to see a fairly deep run into the Champions League.
So you're changing from top 4 comfortably from last year to we are challenging for the title.
I think so. I mean, if you're about to go spend 200 million pounds on players, and you finished second last year, I think that has to be your expectation can't be just to be in the Champions League when you spend that kind of money.
Yep. Now I have a question that's not on here.
Okay.
What if that doesn't happen? What happens to Arteta?
Nothing.
Like, let's say you guys like you're like Europa League.
Okay, that's if we don't finish in the top 4, like that's I think you have to ask like what context is important.
I don't disagree.
Like context will be super important. So like, are we riddled with injuries? Are we? I don't know. Like do we just barely miss out on But I don't think Arteta gets fired. I think it'd be highly unlikely that Arteta gets fired. I
just had to throw it out there.
They've spent so much money investing in Arteta and investing in his vision. Yeah. And I also find it highly unlikely that Arsenal will not finish in the top 4 this season coming up. We have the least amount of work to put into our team to maintain where we're at because of the profile of our team with how young we are. Yeah. So I would be surprised. Highly surprised.
Cool. Bro, sounds like Arsenal fans are in for a good season.
I hope so.
Sounds like it'll be a fun summer. We got some big signings coming in quick. You got the All-Star game coming up soon against MLS.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's a hard pass for me. It's a hard pass for me.
And that DC United Stadium is nice, but I don't know why they're playing there, not somewhere else, because that's tiny.
Yeah, real small. Yeah, they'll be in America. I will be skipping them this summer. It seems, I don't know. I went last year, and it was nice. It was fun, but I'm saving up my money to go to London. So
yeah.
So make sure you subscribe to this podcast, so this podcast can make me some money, so I can go to London. Right?
And it can be a tax write-off. We want that tax write-off. Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Check back next week because we're dabbling with Tottenham. We're going to look at Tottenham because Tottenham technically, legally finished higher than Chelsea last year. So it's going to be the Sean show. Sean Stradamus will hit us with some truth bombs, if you will. Maybe.
Maybe.
But drop a comment on this video. Let us know what you guys think. Follow, subscribe, sub notification bell, all those things. Hit us up on Twitter. You can catch that guy over there at KSBradG. Down below, that's at WhiteHeart_Sean. I'm at James Tiffany, and we collectively are at RedCard_Radio. And until next week, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.